Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You'll get divorced. You'll get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here back yet again with our in-house child expert, Dr. Joanna Hulton, with a question from a listener, or reader, listener, I guess, who happens to be somebody I know. And she came to me for advice about a very, very common topic in divorce. So I'm going to read her question, and then we're going to let the great doctor here give us some good tips. So she said, I could really use some advice. My husband and I are recently separated, and we're doing our best to co-parent with 2 kids, my 8-year-old son and 6-year-old daughter. But they're having a really hard time with the back and forth between homes. Every transition feels like starting from scratch, and there are a lot of big feelings from all of us, honestly. Do you have any tips for making this back and forth easier for kids and for parents? I just want to help them feel safe, supported, and settled, even in the middle of all this change. And I will say, this isn't something I personally experienced as a parent, but I did as a kid because I went back and forth a lot in a variety of different custody situations. And as a parent, nobody teaches you. This is not something they put in the baby books, right? Here's what to do when your kid has to go back and forth between you and your husband's house, ex-husband's house. So what do we do here, Dr. Hulton?
Okay, let's start with what you remember about what you think your parents were told what to do when that happened.
Yeah, that's
That
a great
old
question.
wisdom, the conventional wisdom was?
Nothing. There was literally nothing.
There was nothing out there. So, unfortunately, that leaves parents in a really hard position. But let's start with this family. The good news is that the 6-year-old and the 8-year-old developmentally have already accomplished many important tasks in their growing up, so that they are in a different position to meet the demands of these changes that are happening, as opposed to if they were younger.
Right.
So what I want to look at is developmentally, a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old are really trying to meet the demands of the world outside the house, and they want to be able to take initiative, have agency, get things accomplished. And these are the things that drive them every morning and every evening. And so that if we look at it that way, we can understand how we can really change what's happening with going back and forth to the houses. And that I think she said something about each house is a different rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we did a little follow-up, and she did say that. Yeah.
Something about that. And so I think it's important to understand that when we get divorced, adults want to distance themselves from each other. That's it. And it makes sense to be able to distance oneself, start healing, really. But unfortunately, the children don't want to distance themselves from their parents, and they cannot. And to ask them to do that is really hard. So in this particular case, we have 2 houses. I imagine different set of bedrooms and all of that.
Right.
So my advice would be, if the parents could really come together and say, we can distance ourselves from each other, but we're not going to distance ourselves when it comes to the kids and their houses. And so it would be important for maybe for mom to go visit the house that the children are in and
Mhm.
to go into those bedrooms and say to the children, so show me how you've decorated your room. Agency.
Mhm.
This is how I'm taking initiative, mommy. Look what I'm doing.
Right.
See, so then you're fulfilling those developmental needs in a very different way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that, or things like having parents have videos that they can pass back. And so easy now with our cell phones.
Yeah.
Do a little video. Hey, look what so and so accomplished today. Daddy says to
Right.
mommy.
Right.
You know, we don't want to. We want the children to have the back and forth of the parents, because what kids need is the recognition from the parents. Look at, I'm growing up. Look at me. Look at me. Look how well I'm doing. And so when parents cut themselves off from each other, it really creates a real problem for the kids.
Yeah.
And people get through it, but we're doing this work because we want to see if we can lighten things up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. So I have two things to say about this. Is one is that I have full custody of my kids, so they're with me all the time. They don't see me interact with their dad because it's mostly via email, right? The few times recently that they've been on FaceTime with him and I'll talk to him, about summer camp or,
Right.
friendly stuff, their minds are blown, right? It's like, "Oh my god, mom and dad are speaking to each other."
Yes.
And it took after the first time that they were so surprised by that, I was like, "Oh, they really don't see us interacting ever. That's really interesting." And so that what you're saying is fascinating. And the second thing is from my childhood, I remember distinctly the one time my mom came to my dad's first house that he moved out to because he had to go to work early, so she had to come take us to school. And it was so both destabilizing and comforting right, at the same time
Yeah,
to see her
exactly.
there. I still remember that, Joanna. And so I
Wow.
I I love that. And so ultimately, I guess what you're saying is that it helps them feel safe when that connection is still there.
It helps them feel safe. It opens up a world of possibilities in terms of, remember, developmentally, they're trying to feel a sense of taking initiative, agency, and this, of course, translates into when they go to school. And look at me, I can get things done. And in this family, we get things done together. And
Right.
and I think it's important for the parents to acknowledge that while this is really difficult right now, and to really validate their feelings. Unfortunately, we adults, we try to make things better for kids. So they might say, one child might say, "Oh, I really miss daddy," or there's something like, "I wish things were normal again." Those kinds of
Yep.
things. And we say, "Yeah, but." And so my concern is that most people do that and they don't start with, just listen to the feelings and just acknowledge them. Doesn't mean that you agree or disagree. Just, okay, so this is how you're feeling. And then the second part would be, and this is over time, I believe you're going to feel differently. And dad and I are going to be working on helping you feel differently about that. And it
Right.
will be such a great accomplishment for this family. I'm using the word accomplishment for a reason, because they're in a stage where they want to get things done. And that would be another accomplishment for them, the whole family together. And I do things like, sometimes parents don't realize that they have their set of toys and things, and then they have one set here and one set there. I think there should be a bag that goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because those are transitional objects. If you remember from when they were little babies, they had
Yep.
transitional objects that are imbued with feelings of attachment for one's parents. They're symbolic. So to be able to have a sack of things
Mhm.
that, and then when they go to each house, to be able to be playful about it and say, show me where you're putting
Right.
all your objects in your room.
Right.
And okay, and so, oh, you're coming home. Are you getting your objects ready to come home?
Right.
Or go there, or go to dad's, or go to mom's? And, really just have some fun with it.
Yeah.
And then you can really be a good parenting psychologist by understanding that they might start leaving certain toys in one place. And then you could ask questions about that. Hey, notice that so and so is at dad's, more consistently. That's all. I'm just noticing that.
Mhm.
Any thoughts? Usually kids will talk to us,
Mhm.
but you see
Yeah.
how it opens up so much
Yeah.
more.
Well, what comes to mind first of all is that I think people don't realize when you are getting divorced from somebody that you have had not a great marriage with, especially at the end, or you're in a contentious situation, it's it's so hard to, no pun intended, but divorce yourself from those feelings to then parent together, right? Because there's so much emotion there.
That's a
And
dilemma,
that's
yes.
really hard. What do you do? Like how do you put the kids first and you know you should, but you don't want to?
I hear this a lot, and it is hard, and I think to be able to really know that you are really going to be healing yourself eventually by being able to rise above it and notice and knowing that your kids are still thriving,
Right.
it is a very, very healing experience,
Yeah, that's true.
personally. But you
Yeah.
have to kind of jump in and take a chance and sort of, I don't want to say eat your feelings because I
Right. You
don't
just
recommend that, but just sort of put those feelings aside, perhaps.
right, because it's
Uh,
not about you, right? This is about helping your children through this process. You said something that I have a question about. What do you recommend you call each house? Is it because if we keep calling them dad's house and mom's house, where do the children feel grounded?
that's a really good question, a good point. I want to think about that. Would it be as simple as saying your house with dad and your house
Yeah,
with
I think that
right?
they just need to know that there's a house, like, that they
It's
have a
their
home.
house.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that kind of really lends itself to what we were talking about in terms of it's your
right,
house with mom. It's your house with dad. So
right,
now they have 2 houses,
right.
but it's not mom's house and dad's house, which implies right there is divisiveness, you know?
Or
Uh,
yeah, or just that they don't I think so many people are, myself included, are concerned. It's like, well, where do my kids feel like they belong, right? Or live if, we have I am so grateful that we have normalized divorce and we're continuing to normalize it, but it's still hard to go back and forth between 2 houses for kids.
yes.
And we haven't really figured that one out yet, unless you're
Oh,
a
but
billionaire that has a wing for each person. But yeah.
right, but I do think that, it's possible to, really make this better for kids,
Yeah.
and I do think it's gonna speed up the process of healing between the couple,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's something to consider,
Yeah.
that, when you act friendly, you're going to feel friendly, and it really shifts the vibrational quality of things,
Right.
and it's very hard to stay mad at each other when you're like, "Listen, this is about our children. We came together, we had these kids, and they're precious."
What I'm hearing is something that reminds me of like the concept of it takes a village, right? And the more people that love our kids, the better. Like I
Yes,
always think that. So I
yes,
so if we reframe this two house situation, so it's like they have more places for people to love them.
yes.
Right, and I also and as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, well, I spent half the week at my grandmother's house growing up, so that was my second home too, right?
Correct.
Like, we have second homes, we just often don't realize that we have second homes sometimes, and I think so much and this is something I recommend to people when they come to me for advice, is it's all about your energy and what you bring into this, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
would assume that that's true.
Yes. That's really what we're talking about.
Yeah,
You're really creating different energy for the kids.
Right.
that you are going to start experiencing yourself. And I think it speeds up the process of,
Yeah.
of people trying to get through the divorce. So it's not just for the kids, it's for you and your spouse as well.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how well it can work.
Yeah.
And it's a funny thing because so many people that I talk to, it just never occurred to me to think about it that way.
Right.
Because, and then as time goes on, we really want to be able to, if we have other relationships, we want to be able to, like you said, more it takes a village.
Yeah.
More kids, the more people out there loving my kids,
Right.
or helping them with things and adding a new
Right.
something to their
Right.
life
Perspective. Yeah.
thing.
It is a good thing. Right. But when you're in the trenches of that divorce, it's so hard to see that. So, what would you recommend is like a really quick tip if you are literally in the thick of it and the 6-year-old is like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And your ex husband is standing there waiting to take the kids. Is it that you need to shift your move? Like, how do you help it in that? You may not be able to answer this, but how do you help that parent in that moment?
Well, I think that, it really tugs on our heartstrings, right?
Yes.
Because we have so many unanswered questions about the divorce, about what's happening. And so we hear the children say, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. It's a trigger. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, is this divorce really the correct thing?
Right.
And did we make the right choice?
Right.
And that really can bog us down.
Yeah.
So to remember that, and to remember those times when the child didn't want to go to nursery school or didn't want to go to school. And what did we say to them? We validate their feelings. I'm going to sit outside the room and check on you.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just trying to remember some of the little things.
Yeah, and I think this really comes back to, like, what you were saying. You have to put the kids aside. You have to put your own emotions aside to have that relationship with your
Yes.
co-parent
Yes.
and be able to say to them, have them call me later. I'll call them later. Send me a photo of them. But it
Exactly.
takes two people to do this.
Yes, it does, and that's gonna be the challenging part. The 2 people, if, those 2 people might seek out some support.
I was going to ask that. What do you do? What's the next step, Joanna? Like before we close today, what would you recommend parents do? You've been seeing clients for a million years. So what would you recommend? At what point does a parent say to the co-parent, we need to get some support for this?
Yes, I think, if the parent is not able to hear some of these, concepts, or they can hear them, but they feel like they just can't do it, it breaks their heart.
Yeah.
So that there's more going on here, and so that seeing, a counselor, um, who is really gonna try to understand it from this point of view, and that they just want education and support.
Right.
And
Right.
the education part is, hey, this is what your kids are going through developmentally.
Right.
And you can really, really make them feel accomplished and help them continue their growth and development. And I know that's what you
Of
want for them.
course. Of course.
But sometimes what can happen is that our own growth and development feels like it's being smashed. And to be able to get some support around that,
Mm,
someone to acknowledge how hard it is to get
yeah.
through this,
Yeah.
someone just to acknowledge your feelings.
Yeah.
Nobody, and there are, plenty of coaches out there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
For
have to
sure.
be a serious
Right.
therapy situation, but just education and support.
Yeah, we have wonderful co-parenting coaches at Fresh Starts. And Joanna, tell us about your everything that you have to offer for people. You have some wonderful things happening.
Well, I do, and I wish I can offer office hours, but I can't. And
Well, you have a book that is very
and
helpful.
I have a book. I have 2 books now. I have a children's
Yep.
book that talks about imaginary friends and how children use imaginary friends to develop a sense of empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also have Parent Fatigue Syndrome, which is a parenting psychology book that I recommend because it really goes into in detail of children's development
Yeah.
and what to expect at different stages. and what to do, because none of those stages of development are completed perfectly. It's
Right.
not possible. So if you know what's going on, you can do some touch-up work. And
Mm,
especially if you're going through a divorce, like you and I sitting here and me telling you that at the ages that they want to take initiative. They want to feel accomplishment. They want
right.
their parents to be able to notice everything they're doing. And all of this informs who they are as parents. And it's very helpful.
Yeah,
Um, the book is, people tell me the book is very easy to read. It's
it is. I
non-judgmental.
read it 12 years ago and I still love it. So,
I still
yeah.
love it. So and actually yesterday I had my first podcast with the Children's Peace Initiative, which is the website, which I
hmm
recommend everybody taking a look at, because there's information for everybody on there, including kids.
Yep.
And so the podcast is called Seen and Heard, because so many of us grew up at a time when we were seen and not heard. That was the
hmm
convention of the time. And so we had the first one, and I'm very excited. The people who are hosting it are in London.
Awesome.
So that was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to
So,
listen to it.
yes, and we really want to make sure that we tell everybody on the podcast about your program as well.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's
amazing.
that this is going to work well together,
Yes.
because so many people need your support.
Well, thank you. And so many people need your support. And with that being said, if you have a question for Joanna, we're going to be doing another podcast next month. So send in a parenting divorce related question and we will chat about it on the show. And thank you to today's listener who sent in a very typical question that I think
Yes.
this episode is going to help so many people. So we appreciate you, Joanna, so much.
If I
Yeah.
could say one more thing,
Yeah.
to the person who, we responded to, if she tries some things and she would like to give us some feedback, because sometimes, I will recommend something
Yeah.
and it doesn't go quite the way, and there's a little snag.
Yeah.
And so I want to hear that
We
and
love
say,
that.
"Hey,
Yeah.
we'll tweak it a little bit here, tweak it a
Yep.
little bit there," and you'll see that it's going to change things around.
Yeah, and I think that that is a great way to finish up the conversation by saying that sometimes it feels hopeless when you're going through these things, but there are techniques and tools and modalities that professionals can help you with. Like you don't have to go through this alone and you can tweak them like you said. So you're not alone in this process.
Right. And so I would welcome that, and it would be helpful to anybody who has been
Yeah.
listening to this, and if they try it, and if they have any concerns or
Yep.
questions, please let us know, and then
I love that.
we will address it the next time.
Yeah, that's great. We'll start the next podcast with some feedback and updates. We love that. Joanna, we appreciate you so much. You are so wise. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.